What's up, guys, and welcome to The Reload. My name is Cody Luongo, and we are so happy to have you here on the show. Watching us, we're live. It's Thursday at 2 p.m. coming to you from our studios right outside St. Louis. And we're talking CS today. Plenty of action. IEM Chicago just wrapped up, and we got the DreamHack Open Atlanta series right around the corner starting tomorrow, actually. A lot of exciting CS news to touch on, bring you some tips, and sort of recap our experiences at Chicago and moving forward. Got a lot of super interesting things to touch on. Let's go ahead and bring on our guest, right? He's an American Counter-Strike player, coach, analyst. He's been in the game for a long time. He's a good friend of mine. Let's bring him in here. It's the Bears. It's the Bears.
Woo!
Woo! I like that energy, baby.
Rooming, talking about CSGO. What more can you want for on a Thursday afternoon? Welcome, Cody. How's it going?
I'm doing fantastic. And now, even better that I get the Indian war cry, the bear war cry upon entry.
I'm known as Sitting Bear. Sit on the toilet a little too much, but that's okay.
Hey.
You have to have fiber. At the age we need to regulate, guys. Regulate your body. You can't have pizza and tacos every day. No. You need those fiber bars, those fiber ones. Let's go. Just flush it out. Flush out all that bad stuff. Let's go.
Oh, baby, you would have hated my diet in Chicago if you've seen it. The deep dish pizza.
It's good. You have to have the pizza. It's just so good. The deep dish pizza in Chicago. Mwah, mwah. And since living in California, I miss pizza. I miss the good pizza. I have to settle over here.
Cali's they ain't got the good stuff? What's the deal?
I don't know. They missed the pizza train or something. The pizza pasta doesn't really exist out here. It's all about Latino food or Asian food. It's like the two big ones. And I got to find the niche. I need to find Italian places.
I think they call it Mexican food. I've never heard it called Latino food.
You know what? I'm not just because there's Cuban, there's Peruvian, there's Colombian.
So this is umbrella.
Umbrella. This is a whole thing. The whole Latino community. All right. I dabble in all their foods, not just tacos. Okay.
Okay. I got one thing I want to ask. Okay.
I like some lime chicken. All right, with some plantains. It's delicious.
Now we're talking. Baby. So I got one quick question on this pizza note, because then this is troubling for me. So you always hear about the Chicago deep dish, right?
Yes.
I was told that the hidden secret, actually, unbeknownst to the public, is the Chicago thin crust. What can you tell me about this?
That's what I've heard. So a lot of people. I've heard this a lot because a lot of people don't like the deep dish. It's too much for them.
Dude,
it's not too much for me. And I get it all the time because it's the only place that I know to get it from, okay? But there's people who don't like it. They come to Chicago. I don't like deep dish. It's too much. It's too filling. What can I get to satisfy my pizza needs? They go for the thin crust, and they say it's so delicious that I'm kind of upset that I've never tried it because I've always done the deep dish. That's the only thing I've done. So maybe next time when I go back to home this Christmas towards Chicago, I'm going to try the thin crust and to see what these other people are talking about. So
let's give it a whirl.
Looking forward to that. I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you for confirming that this wasn't a myth. I wasn't, being
not
punked.
A myth.
Okay.
They got some good stuff over there. They got some good stuff.
Yeah.
It's got to find it. Illuminati's delicioso.
Wow. Deep dish is a lot to handle, I will say.
It is. It's one slice is filling. All right. 2 slices if you're feeling really hungry, you want to regret it 20 minutes later.
Cheese is out of this world. Out of this world.
It's delicious.
Right, so let's talk some CS, right? Gotta love the banner in the beginning. Whoa, hold on. I'm loading up this Twitch. I got a commercial going on. All right. So, okay. Jesus, okay. I'm so wrapped up in the pizza conversation that I've just lost all structure of.
Can't feel yourself shirt. Is that the original CKY?
Yeah, I saw them. I saw them in Chicago a couple of weeks ago. I went on a day trip, drove up there on a Monday, caught them, went to work on a Tuesday. I did it.
Wait, when you see them at the show, is it like a band, or do they perform stunts, or what is it? I'm thinking of CKY. Well, okay, so here's a CKY back in the day was before Jackass. That was that's called CKY. They were a band then too?
Yeah.
I thought it was just called Kill Yourself. I never listened to any of their music. I just knew that they skateboarded and trash themselves.
You got
Camera.
to. You got to. Yeah, they jammed. It's
I
hardcore.
got to pick out some of the jams.
Yeah, dude. 96 Quit Bitter Beings. That's the one. That's
All
what you got
right,
to
I'll
look
take a
into.
look after this.
Okay, so first off, I want to plug this. While we were at Chicago, we went ahead and spoke to Zonic of Astralis, the head coach, and talked to him a little bit about his coaching philosophy and managing the best team in the world. So we made a little quick video for that. Here's a promo we'll show you right now, and you could watch the full version later.
Device. Oh, he's going to do it though. 10 seconds. One more kill for Device.
Unbelievable! Unbelievable from Zipix. He is the clutch master, and that is ungodly. I'm sorry it's got to go that way, North.
Yeah. Were you hearing anything?
Yeah, I was hearing the music.
Okay, I wasn't
The
hearing it in my ear.
background music, but yeah. Oh, you didn't hear anything? It was
don't
good
know.
music. It got me pumped, got me excited.
Thank you.
It teased me way too much. That's why they call it a teaser, huh? I don't like
A
that.
sizzler, baby. That's another. That's
That's why I
another word
watch
for
it all now, but now it's teasing me. I have to wait. Thanks for that. It looks pretty awesome.
Thank you. I worked hard on that.
I was curious what Zonic has to say. He's literally been one of the top coaches in the scene for the last couple of years, at least for Astralis, and well, I don't say couple of years, but at least last year. He's been putting in a lot of big work, and Astralis has been. I mean, they're shown they're the best team in the world, and he's definitely had a big part of it. And so it's a combination of great skills, mindset, and a little bit of luck. You got to have the players that understand what he and Astralis envisions, and so it's pretty fortunate for him to have 5 players and organization to really back up his game plan.
Right. I think Zonic is just like a totally unique scenario, right? You look at him, everyone looks at him as like this father figure to Astralis. And like I just don't see that kind of resemblance with any other coach in CS right now. And they also happen to be the best team in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I had spoken to him a little bit about, what it's like managing that team and keeping the guys disciplined and hungry. And he gave me a lot of insights into that and how they set short-term and long-term goals for themselves. We want to win this tournament and we want to win the the Intel Grand Slam. And then we want to, he's telling me long-term, they want to, stay at number 1 until 2020. I'm like, this is nuts.
Very ambitious. Very
Yeah.
ambitious. I mean, why they're playing, if no team improves and they keep being consistent, they probably could do that. But I find it, I mean, once you're at the top, it's really hard to stay at the top. And Strauss has managed to do it for this long. But, again, it's another year away, year and a half away, pretty much. Or I say about a year. We're in November already. So, yeah, it's about a year away. So we'll see if they can continue this consistency next year. And hopefully other teams will step up to the challenge and be able to dethrone or at least challenge Astralis to a point to where, there's some good finals. There have been some good matches with them, but lately they've been pretty much blowing everyone out of the water and they haven't even become close.
Yeah, Chicago, they weren't favored really over there, I'd say, by the crowd. I don't think there wasn't many cheers coming out for Astralis, you got to say,
No, they are definitely the team. They're the enemy to all the teams out there, all the fans, because they're the best and they're so good. People are bored by it. As from an analyst point of view and a player, they're awesome. I love watching them play. I like how they adjust and whatnot. It does disappoint me a little bit that it's taken so long for teams to catch up to them. But Astralis is setting the pace and they're running away with it, and good for them to be able to capitalize on all of it. But as a player, I would definitely like to see more competition towards them. So at least see a variation of maybe different game style plays, or not every single team copying Astralis strats because they're doing so well. So I like to see different, angles.
Yeah, everyone likes to see that. It's Astralis is such a tricky scenario. I mean, people call them a boring team, right? But when they get challenged, it's a really, really exciting game. And when Astralis is pushed to the limit, as we saw in the Fnatic game at IEM Chicago, it's like you really see just how good and versatile this squad is. And like
Yeah.
that to me is super exciting. But when they're freaking mopping the floor with everybody, it's just like, stop.
Yeah.
Cut it
It
out.
does. It does have a kind of boring factor because they're so good at the fundamentals, and really to become a really great CS team, you have to master the fundamentals. And one thing that Astralis does so well that makes them so formidable is their spacing and timing. Is technically in a game of Counter-Strike, you can win off any strat, really. You hit your shots, you do the fundamentals, anything can really work.
Mhm.
But what makes it work so well for Astralis is that, again, their timing and their spacing is so well. You always will see is if you kill one Astralis member, there's either one right behind it or one on the opposite side ready to exchange a kill. And this is through in and throughout every single map of every match, that they put themselves in these spots to where even if Astralis is doing these individual hero plays, they're still backed up by their teammates, kind of like a safe plan or a parachute where they can make these plays and still come out on top, even if the other team kind of punches them. And that's the beauty of their play style. It's so good and so consistent that they're able to do that. And I mean, it's really hard to beat them at their own game. You have to get crazy, you have to get wild, and really catch them off guard if you want to beat them. Because even if you're up, there's some instances at ECS, specifically LDLC, a team that's kind of an up and coming team. And they played Astralis on Dust 2, and this is when Astralis was undefeated. They just need to win 2 more maps to be undefeated for the first time in ECS's history. And they LDLC took them to the limit. They were up 15 to like 5 or 6, some ridiculous. LDLC was up 15 to 5 against Astralis. Astralis came back,
Classic.
and I can't remember. I think they lost it at the very last round, or it was overtime. It was like one of the 2 matches where they lost at the very last round. I think it was Industrial, and the next map went in overtime, Astralis winning. And so it was just pretty incredible that even if you're up 15 to 4, you can't let go of these guys. They will claw their way back, find miracles to somehow do it. I don't get it, but they're just pretty amazing. They have alligator's blood.
Yo, it's seriously though. I mean, you never count this team out, and that's like the most mind-blowing thing about Astralis, right? Like we're watching the games at Chicago, and I remember the Fnatic matchup, same scenario, which we've seen so many times with Astralis, where it is 15 to 6 or something to that effect. And my buddy actually leans over to me. He goes, Astralis won like 2 rounds at the time. He goes, "You think they can come back?" I'm like, "Yeah." And they did.
Yeah,
That's like the classic Astralis, which is like, I mean, yeah, it's awesome to watch. And again, to your point about like teams need to get like so crazy, ballsy, and like unique or whatever to like be able to catch them off guard is so true. And there's a bunch of points I want to come back to in the Liquid Astralis matchup. But first, I want to touch on this before we dive too deep into Chicago, which was something that you had tweeted, actually, and if we could bring that up. Yeah, that's something. Yeah, that is. Look at that. Look at that shark.
Yeah, I woke up this morning and I was, hop on Twitter a little bit, and I just see all these complaints about too many matches. I'm thinking to myself, oh my geez, like they don't understand how good CSGO is right now, even though a lot of people consider it to be on the downfall of what it once was. But you got to think of all the online leagues and all the matches. No one is forcing these players, or maybe if it's the orgs are forcing these players to play in both leagues, maybe there has to be some kind of compromise between the leagues or the players and orgs themselves that they're complaining about playing too many matches, but who signs up for these matches? It's the teams, it's the players themselves. So, maybe choose one league over the other, or maybe if the leagues are that lenient, they could shorten the seasons to kind of fit the schedule of everything. There's a number of solutions that you can kind of work with to make it happen, but to completely get rid of or even talk about just reducing online leagues, I think is super negative for the scene in general, to where you have a lot of these up and coming players, up and coming teams, or people who want to get back into it. They're not getting invited to these tournaments, these LAN tournaments. They're not automatically, oh, you're invited to IEM. It's the same 1% of teams, of organizations. And so you have to have these leagues, these online leagues, to really separate these up and coming people who put in the dedication and work, because it's not fair to them where if you limit the online leagues, then it's just I think it's overall way worse. Just in fact, because the teams that you invite to the LAN tournaments in the future, it's going to be even worse, because you don't have these online results to be like, oh, these guys are pretty good. Let's maybe invite them to our qualifier or something like that. That won't exist. And it's just, but I do feel for the players, because to a certain point to where, like, you listen to some of their schedules, is pretty ridiculous in terms, LDLC is one example. They had to fly home from IEM, and then on that day, they have to play, as Alex, I think, put it, one of the most important matches of his life. And it just, it sucks.
Brutal.
It's really bad, especially if you're jet lagged or just played a whole tournament and maybe you didn't do as well as you wanted. It could be very taxing on the mind. But again, like, you take it back 10 years when I was playing, we were playing for scraps. We'd be happy. I mean, I could just imagine if there was a tournament every week or every couple weeks, I'd be living on cloud 9, because that's what we all played for. We played online, keep our skill up, to have some sort of league or an idea of what teams are good. And then we come to LAN. There's like 2 big LAN tournaments, maybe 3 big LAN tournaments a year in 1.6. And you have to gauntlet through qualifiers. You had to just play and grind. And it wasn't how it was nowadays, where half the teams are invited. They don't even have to go through the gauntlet of qualifying for these leagues a lot. And so the teams just getting stacks and stacks of money, sponsorships, just snowballing, and they're complaining about too much. Like, move over then. Like, I'll play. Someone else will play. There's a lot of kids out there that sacrifice everything just to have the opportunity, like some of these pro players. And it makes me very bitter to see that a lot of these people are turning into this, where just complaining all the time about having it good. They have it great. I mean, these kids walking around with $10,000 watches and $90,000 cars. They're barely even 20 years old, and they're complaining. It's disgusting to me. It's like, just be grateful.
Wow.
That was my angry rant.
Wow. I like that. Very passionate.
They just don't know. People don't know until they lose it,
Yeah.
You hear the same cliche story. You don't know until you lose it. Well, this is one of those examples. You will know once it goes away. You're like, oh, remember those good old times when we see a tournament every week, every couple of weeks? Those are the good old days. And so I'm trying to prevent that. I'm trying to make them realize that, hey, yes, their organizations and leagues can maybe do some kind of an agreement or schedule things where they're not screwing each other over every other month, because that's what we've seen in the past.
Right.
There's 2 leagues battling out, which is good. It's competition. You want to keep elevating and being better. But we're to a point where we're destroying teams or destroying, like, players' hopes and dreams because it's too much. And so there definitely has to be a balance. But again, if 2 leagues are too much, just play 1. If you're the best team in the world, you play 1 league. Yeah, you might have teams wanting to flock to that league, but maybe there's a possibility where ECS winner can play ESL winner if it's not the same team or whatever. Maybe that will be the future in like 5 years. Who knows? There's a lot of teams, a lot of players, a lot of money out there. Just spread it out. Don't complain it's too much. Just find a way to take advantage of it. That's it.
Yeah. Yeah, you got some great points, Barry. You should go on tour with this mission. You know what I mean?
I'm trying, man.
Spread the word. Spread the word, baby. These kids need to know.
I don't have enough Twitter followers. I have to start showing my titties on stream or something in order to get all these likes and clicks. I don't have it. I used to. Stopped working out years ago.
I think I totally agree, right? I mean, more than I would, because you played in 1.6. Like, for you, I mean, just from what you're saying, I can feel basically like the passion and your response behind this and like the whole situation right now, because this is something that we talked about maybe a couple weeks ago. I think my biggest issue with the amount and surplus of events is like you said, the scheduling.
Yeah.
Like I don't necessarily think it's fair for teams to have to play on land at a major event with a lot on the line, and then maybe an hour later, some random time in the night or whatever, because these kids are all over the country, all over the world, crazy different time zones, and have to compete for something else. And it's like, yeah, should they give up attending an event or playing in a league? I don't know, but do they really want to? They probably
Yeah.
don't want to.
Yeah, I mean, they don't.
If you were in that scenario, you would want to play in everything possible, right? If I get to guess.
I mean, it depends on what point. If I'm, let's say, Astralis, probably not, because if you're the very best, the more you play, the more you have a chance to lose, and that might like ruin whether their legend or whatever the hell you want to call it, their legacy. But if you're a younger team, maybe an up and coming like LDLC, yes, you want to play a lot of leagues to have a better chance to be more recognized. But unfortunately, even in that scenario, they still got kind of screwed over because they've gotten to the point where, okay, we got invited. We qualified for a LAN tournament. Okay, let's go to it. Let's do okay or do well or win, whatever. Then we have to come back. And it's just so silly that league organizers can't just plan around a lot of these tournaments, especially if some of these tournaments are from their own company. Like,
Yep.
The ESL IEM thing was like a huge debate in terms of rescheduling. That should not be acceptable at all. If if you have a big tournament, IEM, and you're from ESL or ESA should be able to kind of move things around or maybe plan their playoffs better to where it's not sitting in between 3-4 tournaments of the year. And you're thinking, well, there's a tournament every week. How can we do that?
Right.
Well, plan better, I guess. Or, it's
Figure it out,
it's
boys.
not impossible until you figure it out. Like you can make it work. Just everyone has to give up a little to gain a lot more. You know what? Maybe have a couple less matches in online leagues or something. Maybe I've seen different formats where that are some good suggestions. Like maybe you only play like maybe 8 matches and see how that goes. There's different ways we could kind of figure this out, or even test run and see how it goes. It's just, just don't say. Keep trying, please. Keep trying. Stop complaining.
Right. I agree. There's solutions out there that will probably come about with this, but definitely thank you for raising the conversation, bringing it to Twitter, stirring that tweet pot. The bird is just cooking that bird.
You got to keep the people keep thinking, right?
Yeah.
Can't let them get too comfortable. Keep them on their toes. Throw some cold water in their face. Get that surge going.
Yeah, splash it on, baby. Moving ahead, talk a little bit about Chicago. I mean, shoot, we talked so much about it in the beginning. But Astralis won. They absolutely dominated Liquid, which I was hoping not to happen. I was looking forward to a close.
Not just you, everybody
Yeah.
wanted Team Liquid to win this, not just because they deserve it or it's been a long time, but Astralis is also the best team in the world. We want challenges. We want, different, just more challenge to Astralis and Liquid. They have the potential, but then they see that word finals. We're in the finals, guys. And then they just shit the bed.
See, I don't know. I feel like the Astralis Liquid matchup specifically is like this mental roadblock for Liquid.
Yeah.
Like, okay, yeah, they choke in the finals. You're saying it doesn't matter like it didn't in New York.
Miles Sports, FaZe, Astralis. They kind of hurt themselves a lot more than other teams beat them, which is a puzzle that they still need to figure out. And especially against Astralis, where when I think of Astralis, I think methodical, fundamentals, teamwork. And here you have a Team Liquid is pretty much in the same boat. Methodical, lots of different strats, working together. But Astralis does everything so much better. So they're trying to beat Astralis at their own game, which is very difficult to do. And I mean, it works for Team Liquid for most of the time, but then once it comes to finals or I don't know, just late in the tournament, they just kind of lose a lot of it, and it costs them. It just costs them matches, and when they look flat, they look predictable in the final.
Yeah.
They look like they're just going through the motions, not really having that same spark as they did on the first map. And it's just, I don't know. Like a lot of people are saying roster changes in terms of the core, which is referring to Nitro and Elige. Like one of those people might have to go. I mean, they've done so much for the team,
I don't know about
but
that.
I mean, like, what do you risk becoming a top 3 team consistently to possibly be in the first place, or even worse? Like, what if they change one of those players and became a lot worse of a team? Like, I don't know. That's like a risk you're gonna have to, if you want to take, if you want to go down that road. But Liquid, they have to bring it.
I imagine the
Just
fan base would go to the nearest bridge and jump off it if that were the
yeah.
case.
I,
I think they should
there's
stick with
always,
this core, with this lineup. You know what I
I mean, they've
mean?
been doing so well, and
Yeah.
they're still considered one of the top teams of North America, top 3 in the world, top 5 in the world. You know, you could argue for other teams and whatnot, but I mean, they're still a good team. We're splitting hairs here at this point to where, like, we're trying to go from third place to first place, and that is something that you can't just explain on paper. You have to go way deeper in terms of habits, routines, what's going on that day. They're having a bad fight with a girlfriend. Are they healthy? Like, there's so many factors that can make or break you in that kind of aspect, that it just, maybe you got to get a little luckier. Maybe you got to change something up. It's too hard to just say. It's just so many variables.
Yeah. I think two things in this conversation. One that you brought up earlier is like to be able to get to beat Astralis, to get under their skin and win these rounds, you got to do something crazy, something off script, not textbook at all. And a lot of the scenarios or situations where Liquid would win a round, where it was looking, in Astralis' favor, were times where NAF specifically, was making like really ballsy plays, like just going for a ninja defuse. That was a huge round, and I wish I had these clips pulled up. And another one where he planted a bomb as a 2-on-1, runs around the entire map, comes back, gets a double kill for the win. But is it like, I don't think it's logical to play like that 100% of the time. So it's like, in a way, you do have to beat Astralis at their own game, but they're just so freaking good.
It's just choosing and picking what time to do it. If you do it every round, then it becomes in that realm of predictable again. Okay, these teams are wild and kind of nutty every single round, so let's just slow it down ourselves and just wait for them to make a mistake. So it's like everything is a balance. You can't play too ridiculous. You can't play too passive. You got to find when to do it, how to do it at the specific time. And that's what makes Astralis has that champion's heart, how they can come back.
Yeah.
If what they're doing is not working, they have to find a way in that moment to change it up to make it work. And they do it almost every single time, whether it's playing slow, whether it's making a hero play or having a ridiculous 1-on-3 situation. They somehow do pull it off almost every single time. So they have some kind of great mentality or just idea of how the game should be played, and there's all 5 players that understand this. That's what makes them so dangerous. It's not just one person doing it all, like a Simple or Electronica, Navi.
Right.
Every single one of those players are able to turn it up, win clutch rounds, carry the match, play great support player, do what's necessary for the team to win the round, whether it's just running out and baiting shots or finding information for the team.
Mm-hmm.
It's just they all do it right all the time, and it's so hard to just play around that you have to just sometimes, just as I said, just pick and choose when to go crazy, when to out aim them. It's so difficult. That's why they're number one. It's just, you can't just say it. You have to somehow figure out how to do it.
I'm with you on all points, Bears. It literally hurts my head thinking about how to beat Astralis, because I can't fathom
Teams
it.
haven't figured it out. Professional players haven't figured it out. Then it's, if we figure it out and no one else has, I mean, we'd be making lots of money. We'd be
That'd
like,
be
hey,
good.
guys, this is a secret, guys. Go after Grave.
Yeah,
Go
just
after
like we have like a
Dane.
vial, just like a little blank, clear vial of liquid this big. It's like, here,
Yeah.
want to
Here,
beat
take this.
Astralis?
Take
A scroll,
But if it
small.
only was that easy. It's not that easy.
Yeah, I wish. I just got word we have actually that clip, one of the clips from NAF, in that Astralis round. We could pull it up real fast, give that a look. So this is the specific play. See NAF on the 2-on-1, despite Device and Zipix being pretty low on health, just making his way around, just running. No hesitation either. He planted that thing and got out of there.
It's so ballsy because Astralis, they're thinking fundamentals. If you're playing against one of the biggest teams, like a lot of the skill or a lot of the weight is because of the name itself. The name Astralis itself makes people nervous. They make them tremble. They start getting a little anxious in a lot of situations. And I can't believe they lost this match. Son of a bitch.
Yeah,
Get reminded here. Yeah, it's just the mental game is so huge when playing against Titans like in Astralis. So it's they expect you to stay T-ramp. They expect you to be timid, not do the crazy play because it wouldn't be smart or efficient in their eyes, and so they expect on this level everyone's trying to do that smart, efficient play, and so NAF to something ridiculous like run all the way towards middle. Not expecting Strauss to maybe have a smoke and defuse the bomb right away, or just tap the bomb and look like it's just a lot of scenarios that could have happened, and
right.
it worked for NAF that round, and he chose the right time to do it. That's what you got to do. You got to find that right round and time to do it.
Yeah.
That's what makes it good.
Liquid was like, watching them, you could tell they were feeling it. At that time, that was the first map. They're up against Astralis, and they had the entire crowd behind it. And that's something that I'm starting to notice about Liquid, is they play off the energy of the room so much, more than any other team I've seen. I mean, you compare it to Astralis, literally, in this matchup, where they're getting insanely clutch frags. People are booing at them, almost. You know what I mean? And they're killing it. And they went on to sweep Liquid, and that Liquid gets one clutch kill, and the place is going nuts. But there was a shift, huge shift in the room, especially when they lost the first map, and you go into Nuke, Astralis' best map, arguably. They haven't lost on Nuke in how long? Like,
I think this entire year they may have lost one map. I think they lost once this entire year on Nuke. That's ridiculous.
That is absolutely mind-blowing, right? So, okay, you're Liquid. You just lose a match that you arguably should have won, where Astralis comes back, and now you're in Nuke. Okay, mentally, that hurts. That hurts me. And like still, they were stringing a little bit of work together, nowhere near close enough to beat Astralis. I'm not sure what the final score was off the top of my head, but like the energy in the room starts to shift back into Liquid when they start playing. And that's just something that, I don't know, it's like a double-edged sword, right?
Yeah. It is very much double-edged sword. Liquid has to be able to still bring the energy if something negative happens, and that's one thing about Team Liquid that probably is one of their weaknesses, is where they're a team that once they fall, it's really hard for them to get back up. And it showed in previous, I mean, that's literally the stigma of Team Liquid,
Yeah,
is that they choke or they start to choke off, whether they're the head. That used to be their MO, and you have to find a way to reset and regain your focus, because what Team Liquid does is they lose focus. They start
right.
worrying less about what to do in game and start worrying more about outside. Oh God, not this again. Oh, we're down again. Oh, we just lost an easy round, which we should have won, and close out the map. Here we go again, and that poison is stuck with them until they break this curse,
Yeah,
until they break that second place finish at every tournament. And once they get over that hump, then we might see a whole new Team Liquid in general. But
right.
until then, they have to figure out how to get past that mental block, whether it's Astralis, whether it's the finals, whether it's we're losing. How do we get back in the game? Just refocusing. Maybe they have to all do meditation every day or something, or practice refocusing techniques, because there are ways to practice turning on and off your focus. That's the key for CS. You have to be able to, okay, once you're dead, sit back, watch your teammates kind of absorb what happened in the round. Then when the next round happens, get back in the focus. It takes a certain mindset. Okay, this round, let's go, and then ignore everything else. It's this round, ignore everything else. It's a skill to have. You have to have it at this level. And Liquid's probably one of the teams that seems like they have it the least out of the top teams. They have to somehow maintain and find their focus.
Yeah, no, definitely. I totally agree. I think that there should be a bigger emphasis on like outside of CS:GO, your physical health, your mental health. In meditation for Liquid doesn't sound like a bad idea for these guys at all.
Yeah, I mean, Team Liquid always is already a pretty big organization. Their training facilities ridiculous. They have a lot of the stuff outside the game. They just have to figure out how to get that mental focus consistent and not falter as easily as it does in matches.
Right. Because, I mean, you could even, by the third map, they're facing death. You see it all in the face. Twists, Taco.
They just look dead. They look dead.
Yeah. They're like, can we go home now?
You can't hide it from us. We can see it. It's written on your face.
Yeah.
And it shows. So they have to figure something out. I don't know if Zeus has to start like tossing them up in the air or something. I don't know. They have to figure something out. Maybe they got to go 5 rounds of boxing with each other. I don't know. It's probably a terrible idea. Something to just get them pumped up, get their juices going.
Yeah. I like that. Little sparring match before the game. You'd be hyped.
They all seem like passive people too. You look at all the players in Liquid; they're all passive players, like in terms of personalities. They're all shy.
Right.
Hey guys, they need a rowdy person who gives 0 fucks, just to start yelling and starts to pick people up. Like it has to be the coach or one of the players. So one of those has to change. Let's get some rowdiness. Have some beers or something before the match. I don't care. Do something where you just stop giving. You stop caring and other things, and you just having fun and being loud. That's what you need, Team Liquid.
I like that. Bears preach, man. Are you doing this with your Clash team? I have to ask now. Something you are exercising?
Meditation. They're really young, so I'm not trying to blame it on their age or whatever, but they don't see eye to eye with a lot of stuff. I thought, like they think I'm maybe a little eccentric or crazy. It's a hard process. Like it's not easy to just implement it either. I'm still at that phase where I'm trying to get their respect in a way so they could listen to me wholeheartedly, which is something that you build over time. I don't expect them just to come up and go, hey, how's it going? Let's just listen to everything to the T.
Yeah.
You still got to win their hearts over and stuff. And it's something I'm working on. It's not easy. It's, when you tell a 17-year-old, hey, let's do a 10-minute meditation session, they look at you like you're an alien. Like, what? It's a cultural It's a cultural thing.
It's little rebel kids.
You go to India or something, it's normal. Okay, it's meditation, yoga, all that stuff is mainstream. Here, it's like, what are you, vegan? What's wrong with you? It's like they don't understand the mental health yet. They're young. Our culture is young in the mental health.
To the untrained ear, it almost sounds like you're like a father. You're like trying to win the respect of them.
They're really trying to be their father. They love fast food every day. I'm like, God, no. I'm dying too because I'm eating a lot of this. And I have to cut that. Like toward the end of the season, I had to stop eating with them because they love so much, fast food or whatever. And I just had to like, no, I can't do this, guys. I respect your opinion. I'm at the point, no, you can't have that. I'm going to serve you broccoli and chicken now. I mean,
they're going to hate you.
Yeah, they're going to hate you.
I would try to start a fire in the kitchen when my mom would try to serve me broccoli.
I know, exactly. They're pretty much adults, I guess, by legal age, some of these players, and they want to eat what they want to eat. I'm not going to tell them no. I should, but whatever. You're living the dream.
Yeah.
Pizzas a week, I don't care.
Let them live, Bears. Let them live.
You'll learn. You'll learn.
So to sort of polish off, round out the IEM Chicago story, I got to ask, and as part of our classic Banter of the Week segment.
Mm.
Did you see the award ceremony at the end? You know what I'm talking
Yes,
about here.
I did.
Can we roll this real fast? This clip of the trophy breaking at the IEM Chicago finals. Here you go. You got Astralis, Happy Guys, Glaives.
Oh.
Mouths and expletive. You could see. Absolutely hilarious. And this shot is amazing. So check this out. So trophy breaks in Glaive's hands. Dupree, get this. Okay, so points and laughs, and then it gets better. He literally picks up the broken piece of the trophy and hoists it up in the air.
What a funny guy.
I'm loving it.
Trophies now. One for one of the players and one for the organization. There you go. Both people are happy. They're on the whole next level.
Yeah.
They're just up there. They're in year 3019, right? We
Dude.
just have to catch up to them.
Yeah, these guys are next level. Trophy killed me when we're sitting there in the backstage, like, oh my god, that really just happened. Yeah. Yeah, so that was Chicago. Chicago was an awesome time. Definitely gonna try the thin crust next time. But more upcoming event, we have the DreamHack Open, right? Starting tomorrow in Atlanta. And we're gonna be there, baby. We're gonna be there.
Nice. You gonna have some fun over there in Atlanta?
That's the plan. I've never been. I don't know what they do.
All I've heard about Atlanta is there's strip clubs. It's really
That's what I heard too.
that's all I've heard from Atlanta. It's not much. There's lots of stuff in Atlanta.
Yeah.
Joking aside, but only been there a couple times, and it's all right, I guess. I haven't explored, so maybe you could share us if you find anything cool.
Oh, I'm coming back with a whole guide, baby. You better be ready.
There you go. But looking at the teams, though, it looks very interesting.
Yes. I think we have a graphic too. We can bring them up.
Bring up the graphic.
Look. And go. Yes, I did put a graphic. Okay. Well, anyway, you want to read them off while I work on getting this?
All right, I'll read them off. Let me get to this. All right, so the teams attending: Vitality, the new French, I guess, super pug; Envy, the old French super team demoted to North America with a bunch of cut players from other teams. That's a little harsh. I'm sorry. Fragsters, another Danish team coming up. I've heard of them recently, but not too much.
They've been making some moves, I heard, in terms of beating some teams.
But unfortunately, they don't have a fifth for this tournament, as they pointed on Twitter that they are going to try to find a ringer for this tournament. So that would be interesting. Ghost having a lot of success lately. I've been liking Ghost. We had James RL on here last week. Great friend of mine. Great person. And I'm thinking they're one of the teams to win the tournament. I'm picking Ghost as one of my favorites.
Really?
Because Wardell's been so insane lately. And
he has been playing good.
I think in this whole tournament, I think he's the best opper. So I think that's a huge, huge plus for them. But then, Luminosity, they've been kind of disappointing this whole year. I was telling me and DDK and James Bardoff were talking about this because we had a couple games to cast of Luminosity, and the whole season, whole year has been kind of disappointing for them. And one thing that maybe what they're lacking is a leadership or direction. I don't know. Like, it doesn't look like a clear-cut strat caller on the team. It probably is Steel. I don't know if he has what it takes to really lead this team to better heights. Because on paper, they look like the second best team from Brazil. You have Lucas One, Hen One, who were unstoppable a year ago, and then a whole incident happened. Nekis was a big up-and-comer. Yell was always really solid for the old Luminosity. And then you had Steel. Everyone loves Steel, was playing pretty good, but it's kind of fallen off a little bit. So I guess we'll see what happens with Luminosity. And you got Rogue. They've been doing all right. Mixed, kind of like mid of the pack. Complexity, who had a huge run at the major, haven't been doing too well beyond that.
No, they really haven't. They dropped out pretty early out of the CS Summit, right? I think they
Yeah.
took a loss to Optic Gaming and a loss to I can't think off the top of my head, but other than that, they've been playing online. I think they beat Liquid once, but like, can you really chalk up an online win to, playing on LAN? I don't think so. That's a general
Yeah.
consensus.
So they're still kind of up there and see how they can transition and mature as a team. I mean, you can say that's a honeymoon phase for how they did so well at the major, but you can't count them out. They have Stanislav and Shazam, who are old veterans of the game.
Yeah.
That's been for a long time too. But Shazam and Stanislav really kind of stick out of my mind, and so anything can happen with them. And then you got E United. Even though on the HLTV it says Relics, I think this is going to be Cooper's first tournament.
That's
I think
what I'm
Cooper's
thinking, yeah.
for E United. So it's going to be FNS, Cooper, Dazzle, Dapper, and Moose. So we'll see how they do. Cooper, a lot of hype coming out of him through the Mountain Dew League and whatnot. And I saw a couple of his games. It's pretty consistent, very conservative kind of style. Take a shot, change position, take a shot, change position. So if you'd be able to mix that up, I think they could actually turn some heads too. As for who's going to win this tournament, I don't know.
I think this is one of the most, like, in a way, like, dead even tournaments.
It seems like it. I think maybe Envy and Fragsters being a little lacking just because of Fragsters haven't seen much of them. They have to find a fifth. And then Envy having a rough time lately.
Yeah.
They haven't been. They beat Renegades, but that was with like 200 ping. But you look at other results in other leagues, they kind of get smashed around a lot. They're throwing a win here and there against a team like a Cloud9 or whatnot, but against big caliber teams, they seem to get smashed pretty hard. So we'll see if they can have a change up and bring the heat on LAN.
Yeah, I don't have too much faith in Envy right now in this tournament. Fragsters, on the other hand, I think that they actually could have been a contender as like a dark horse to win this event, but now with the how do you say this? They have to field a stand-in, one of their players.
Yeah.
I'm not sure who. I don't think they mentioned who was sitting out.
Last I've seen, they haven't said anything. Just said who wants to be our fifth.
Right, which is
tweet out.
Yeah, probably not what you want to be announcing the day before an event starts, right?
Yeah.
Obviously. Yeah. Agree that Ghost is going to be an interesting one to check out. They just signed. Wardell has been sick. They just extended his contract with Ghost for, I think, 2 years.
That's nice.
So that's tight. I want to talk about Vitality, right? This is their LAN debut as this squad, this roster under this organization. I think that they had sort of failed to live up to their expectations when they had recently launched. I think it was on October 8th. They announced the Vitality roster, but it's all been online until tomorrow, this point.
Yeah, they've been all online, and so it's great to be able to. I don't think they play on LAN.
They haven't.
Remember, they haven't. Yeah.
No, if they had qualified for Chicago, that would have been their first LAN event. They didn't. So now this is it.
It'll be interesting to see this team perform on LAN. Of course, Zairu, big. A lot of talks about him when he first joined the team. A lot of people thought he was a cheater, but he's been playing pretty well, at least for the team online. Been top fragging in a majority of their matches. And what I guess we talk about is, I guess, their coach leading the team.
Almost forgot.
Interesting to cut their coach when they're talking about, they mentioned long-term kind of, game plan, but cutting the coach after a couple months on a new team is kind of sketchy. You don't know the backstory. So
it's a little sketchy.
Yeah, it's a little sketchy because, again, they're a new team. You have MBK, Apex, who probably haven't played competitively in over 6-7 months, so they're a little rusty. You have RPK, who's kind of been in limbo for at least like 3-4 months. after the super team mix up or whatever. He's been kind of in limbo. And then Happy is playing on, God, what's the team? I think the Leftovers or Left Outs or whatever. It was
Left.
like the,
Yeah. I think it was left
it
out.
was like, yeah, it was Left Out, I believe, whereas the remaining of the envious, not envious, but G2 super team
Hmm.
make. So he's been kind of like bobbing around in like mid, like three time or tier three CS, tier two CS, kind of staying relevant. And you got Zyru, who's pretty much a pug star. Let's put him on a team and see how it happens. And so there's a big formula that you have to kind of figure out with these players. And it's coach's job to find that out, but it's so overwhelming. You have to have time. You have to practice a lot and trying to, okay, this works, this doesn't work, this works, this doesn't work, and trying to just iron out all the details. So with him getting off the team, it makes me wonder, is it a leadership thing? Is it himself not wanting to play? Is it family? I don't know. It's something that I'd like to know later down the road what happened.
Yeah, definitely. There wasn't really a lot to tell from the tweet. It's primarily undisclosed. Um, I don't know. By the way, so it was obviously in French, the tweet, but I think the translation was just, that he was disappointed or something and he wished the team all the best. So, yeah, I don't know what we can draw.
Thinking he was cut. Maybe they found another player that maybe it's a bigger name. I don't know. Apparently, he's been around for a long time in the French scene, and it's kind of sad seeing you say this is what we're going to do long term, and then you cut the coach out of all people, unless he's being ridiculously defiant or something behind the scenes that we don't know of. There's always that. So
Yeah,
it's
someone
what
who was there since its inception, and yeah, like you said, the CEO of Vitality is saying we have these large designs with this team. We want them to win majors.
mm.
And it's just crumbling, literally. It's like a sandcastle that you just kick, punch.
Just you want to see everyone do well. That's not how it works.
Mm,
Someone's got to lose. How it
no.
goes. Someone's gotta lose, man.
All right, final question on DreamHack Open, and I know this is really hard. I'm not even
Yeah.
sure, so I'm gonna ask you first. Who do you think's winning this
Okay.
tournament? I know you said it was a tough one, but let's hear it.
Yeah, it's a tough one, as you said earlier. They're all pretty. I mean, anyone could really take this tournament on paper. I think Ghost. Like, I want to see. 'Cause Ghost was doing pretty well in online leagues. I think they were like number 2 or something in EPL.
Hmm.
Uh, and so I want to see them do well. I want to see if they can, break out of that tier 2 and become a tier 1 team, especially with Steel. He has a lot of chips on his shoulder to do well, and lean down on the chair. And so, yeah, I think Ghosts. I think they have the tools, and this will be up to Neptune as well. This will be a big tournament for him. Young guy. He's been in land before, but I don't know if he's ever been in land this big of a tournament. So it'd be nice to see how he'll do on land.
I think Ghost could be a contender here. If I had to, I don't know why something is saying that maybe if Complexity come out on the right foot that they can win this.
Hmm.
I'm just like looking at the teams. I think maybe if E United was more practiced with their lineup, then I feel like they might be able to shake things up because they had an all right showing in Chicago. I think they beat
Hmm.
Navi, but Navi was kind of like they didn't even show up. No one, people were like Navi was not here. Like it was the ghost of their corpse, their lifeless corpse walking around. Um,
Chicago.
yeah, and they dipped out right after that. Like we don't want to talk to anybody. Like we're out of here.
Got out real early. There's no signings for these guys. They're gone.
Yeah, I don't think anyone wanted a signature at that point. Shoot. I'm gonna say Complexity.
All right. That's a
We
good pick.
we seen him at the major. Damn good. I watched it. Did you watch the resurrection video they put out?
I haven't yet.
You know what I'm talking
I'm
about
going.
though?
What you talking about?
Okay,
Yeah. Yeah.
it's pretty good.
All
It's pretty good.
right.
Yeah, check it out. Jason Link's in there.
Okay. I'll take it
He's
out.
hyping the team,
Alright.
man. I like that. I like his philosophy, his role there. You know, he's got the arms around the
Yeah.
guys, tapping them on the chest. You did it, guy. You're
Very
there.
passionate man, Jason. Like
Yeah.
he's brought to esports and especially complexity. He's been one of the driving forces over there. So he's a very passionate man. It's
Yeah.
good. You want to see a lot more people like him out there.
Definitely. Definitely. Well, I think that's gonna do it for this show, Bears.
Thank you. It was great. I felt liberated.
Yeah, I
Speaking my
feel
mind.
too. It's a very
Gotta
like calm
tell.
exit.
Gotta educate. I gotta educate as well as me be educated. Okay, it's not about me just giving; it's also about taking. You have to give and
We're all
take.
learning.
It's the balance of life, the yin and the yang.
We're all learning, baby. Just, you know,
Mm.
I need to hit one of these. Coming out.
Out through the mouth.
Signature bear breathing exercise always. All right, thanks for
Yeah.
joining me, buddy. We'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, guys.
Adios. That's going to do it for this episode of The Reload, guys. My name is Cody Luongo. Thank you, as always, for watching. IEM Chicago is a blast. Thanks for getting us there. And we are on our way to Atlanta right after the show. So as soon as the camera stops rolling, we're hopping in a car. We're driving over there, and we're going to grab a whole load of CS content for you guys. Stay tuned. Make sure to follow us on Twitter at @TheReloadFM. You could follow me, my personal Twitter. I'm posting there all the time, at Luongo_pro. And I will see you guys next week. Thanks for watching.